In the words of the son of Hamfast Gamgee, well, I'm back. Cheers. Welcome back, everybody, to me sitting in my old room again and talking about what happened last week and, what will happen this week and so forth, because this is weekly navel-gazing, and we'll talk about all the books I read, all the books I plan to read, all the videos I made, all the videos I didn't make, and the other stuff that happened all around that. And, well, I did read some books last week. I did, in fact, finish Hild by Nicola Griffith, and I did finish Meanwood by Nicola Griffith, and I loved them both exceedingly well. And then I started reading, well, in this case, rereading The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, because, I guess I've made up my mind what will happen in November here, because, I read Dragonbone Chair over a decade ago. I kind of liked it, and what with the second, trilogy, The Last King of Ostenard trilogy coming out, or being done, or this month, I figured it might be a good time to actually read all of those Tad Williams books, or reread the ones that I've read before, which is, the old trilogy in 4 volumes kind of thing that, all the way to Green Angel Tower. And, then read the kind of bridge novella kind of thing. Is it a novella or a novel? It's very short. The Heart of What Was Lost, which is, in my opinion, probably the best title of all of them, and see how, how all of that stuff changed, how the old, my memories stack up to the, experience of rereading it and so forth. And that's what I did. So I'm already roughly a third through Dragonbone Chair, and I'll continue reading Dragonbone Chair until it's done. And then I'll obviously also continue reading with The Stone of Farewell and To Green Angel Tower, Part 1 and Part 2, The Heart of What Was Lost. Possibly the next one is The Witchwood Crown. I'm not quite sure, because there my, names and stuff kind of forsake me. There was certainly something with A Witchwood Crown. There's something with The Navigator's Children or something? Possibly. We will see. I'll be reading a lot of Tad Williams until there's no Tad Williams left. That's at least the plan here. I'll also read The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, which is something I really... O'Brien? However you pronounce the man. My point is, I'll read... that one. I haven't read it before. I wanted to read it for a long time, and now I have a reason. So there's that. And in that same vein, I'll also reread Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, because I'm working on something war and fiction related. Not yet a video, but it might turn into something. We'll find out whenever. So these are reading plans for now. There's also a non-fiction book on war, the representation of war in fiction, From the Iliad to Catch-22. So we'll see how that one is, but it's a non-fiction one, and I haven't started it yet. So these are reading plans for this week, this upcoming week, and, well, possibly the next couple of weeks until... whenever. So there's that. What about videos, you ask? Well, videos I did a plenty, or, well, at least some. So as promised, I did indeed make a video for Hild by Nicola Griffith, and I loved it very much. And the author did, in fact, have kind words to say about my video, and retweeted it or shared it on X, or whatever you want to call it, and I was very, very happy and touched and honored by that. And then I did another video on Meanwood, which came out yesterday, and it's a bit weird because I recorded it at my parents' place, or in this case my mother's place, which I was visiting over the weekend. But it's up, and I'm very happy. And once again, Nicola Griffith did in fact have kind words to say about it, which, I very much appreciate. I feel very honored and so forth. Thank you very, very much. I do very much appreciate it. Both videos have done not too well, which may be because one book is very new and one book is very old, and BookTube runs on this weird, cycle where if something is too old, no one has like any interest in it, and if something is too new, people have no interest in commenting on it because possibly they haven't read it yet, or possibly the people that read excellent historical fiction have better things to do than to, you know, watch YouTube videos because, you know, they're reading good books, which is perfect for them. So that's exactly kind of what happened there. But, you know, I hope that for the future, some people that read Meanwood, and you should really go and read Meanwood after you read Hild, will come and, you know, see the video and have nice things, or take something from it and have maybe something to say for it. But then again, you know, we've talked about the idea that BookTube does no longer really need book reviews or whatever because people are not interested in that. I'm not the first person who notices that, is my point. And then I did in fact record a video, a collaboration with Britain over on Some Oaky Dudes channel on Hollow by Brian Catling. Oh yeah, so I guess I kind of forgot. I did also reread Hollow by Brian Catling. I made a video about it over a year ago. Britain has finally read it as well, and so we sat down and talked about it, and it will be up on his channel on Wednesday, I think. When it's out, I'll share it in the community tab, and yeah, go over and give him a like and the subscribe and, you know, watch the video. I think yeah, you should also go and read Hollow if you haven't yet, because it's a fantastic book. It's a fascinating book. It's a weird book. You'll learn a lot of weird shit, and that's that. So that's like 2 videos published, 3 radio videos recorded. Not too shabby for a week where I was also gone for several days because, as I said, I visited my mother and my sister and my brother-in-law and my niece because, yeah, you know, they're currently in the country for reasons. That's my sister, and my sister's family is in the country for reasons. And, yeah, I met my niece, who's all of 6 weeks old and already very loud and angry, I guess. But we will see. So that's something I did over the weekend. It was nice to see them, but also I'm incredibly exhausted now because interacting with humans in human places, in physical spaces, is something I'm not very good at the moment, or at least it's very, very draining for my energy, and I have no idea how that will, how to get those energies back up. But you know, that's that. I'm back home. I have plans, and I feel I did fairly well for like last week, and how, you know, distracted I am because it's, you know, still autumn. Beyond that, I do have, as I said, like some ideas about something war and fiction, which, if it happens, will be a project for like December, because I'll be presenting something on the topic on a conference somewhere in the wonderful country of Croatia, and I guess that's something that may also turn into a video, and it does kind of dovetail with some thoughts I've had on the greater subject of war and fantasy and historical fiction and possibly science fiction over the last weeks, months, or whatever. And, you know, reading Hild and Meanwood as historical fiction has certainly not made my thoughts less important or urgent to me. So maybe that will lead into a slightly larger, more generic, more general video on something, because I feel there is something to the idea of how we present war and fighting and violence in fantasy and in science fiction and in historical fiction and in, you know, literary fiction, and how that has changed over the years, decades, or whatever you want to call it, and centuries, millennia. And I think it's important to look at that. And maybe we can learn something from it, which I sure hope. So that's something I'm excited about. I obviously have to be careful that I don't let, you know, all my wonderful ideas run away with me, and then I forget about everything I wanted to do anyway because I'm getting excited about the new shiny thing. And, you know, it's an ADHD thing, but it's also something that will really make it hard to do anything productive. Which brings me, obviously, to the fact that I still haven't finished that blog post that I promised last week. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll manage to actually get it done before I go to sleep tonight, although I plan to actually get a lot of sleep. As I said, I'm incredibly exhausted and tired for no reason whatsoever, and then I'll return to finishing that blog post, because I have ideas for further writing stuff that will hopefully go up on the Patreon earlier than like every 2 weeks or whatever, because me and making plans and then sticking to those plans are very difficult things, I guess. But yeah, in general, I feel like slightly hopeful in that regard, despite whatever else is going on in the world. I've handed in some more of my paperwork. There's still one thing I need to do, and I'm already like a week late. I hope I'll manage to get it done by tomorrow. We'll see. And maybe there's some hope for, my general mental health as well. We will see. It's, as I said, it's a whole thing. Yeah. The Dragonbone chair stuff I found interesting. We'll see. Maybe Ted Williams' videos will do better, because he's certainly one of those. If it's not George R. Martin, and it's not Patrick Rothfuss, and he's certainly no Robert Jordan or Brandon Sanderson, but a lot of people have read these books. A lot of people have talked about these books. They're certainly always sort of in that space of big epic fantasy of the olden days that you should read, or may have to read if you want to understand the genre, and so maybe that'll be of interest to some people. I'll certainly go about it from a more critical perspective for the old trilogy, at least, where I'm looking at how I personally remembered them, the things that are to be criticized about it, because there's certainly let's just say the bright tapestry of memory has certainly become somewhat threadbare now that I'm actually looking at it again. There's issues with this book, and maybe it'll be interesting to look at those to get a better idea of the general way the fantasy genre has evolved, or possibly even lessons for people trying to write their own fantasy, because there's there are world-building choices there that I find interesting in the way they are made and in the way they are executed, and where Pat Williams certainly has difficulties with executing his world-building choices. Which is, the question, do we actually need to world-build? Because I think we've maybe overdone the world-building of race of late, and maybe that's a topic for a more like ranty, spontaneous video. It's like why world-building in general sucks and you shouldn't do it. That's something. I've also wanted to talk about tropes for a while, or the idea of using tropes, because I think there's an issue there as well, but I'm trying to find a way to phrase it that is not insulting. Because, those things, tropes have certainly had an important place in things like fan fiction, and I don't know anything about fan fiction. So me talking about the way book reviewers use tropes these days can come off as, could possibly be painful or insulting to people that use them for something entirely different. So I need to be sure I don't get it wrong. That's my point. Because while I want to be a very critical person, not a dragon, I also don't want to be... don't want to be more of a dick than I have to be in that regard. Certainly, compared to other people's, I'm already bad at being social to other humans. I don't need to be insulting where I can avoid it, or where I'm even aware of the fact that I could possibly do something wrong. So I gotta be careful there. But there's a rant about tropes out there, just as there is a rant about world building out there that I need to. They need to kind of coalesce in my brain to a point where I can make something out of them. But beyond that, I feel I'm in one of those places. I was working, not working, I was thinking about doing the Hild and Meanwood thing for like half a year or so. And now it's done. And every time you finish like a project, let's call it a project for now, it's very easy to then just stop doing that and fall into this big hole of like, so what now? and I'm trying to get out of that sooner. As I said, like I might be just pushing the Brandon Sanderson readings that I should probably do into 2024, because the year's getting close. The next year's getting close, and we could possibly do a more in-depth reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson, finding out what he's all about, why he sucks, or why he possibly doesn't suck. I don't think I'll go and do the thing that I did with Robert Jordan and Wheel of Time, because I don't want to turn this into a general me being, just being shitty to authors kind of channel. That's not the goal here, but I think there's critical reading of Brandon Sanderson's writings to be done, and so far I haven't seen it on the internet, because that's not how Brandon Sanderson discourse on the internet seems to work. It's more about guessing lore and stuff like that. And you can do that. I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to do that for any fictional universe. I don't want to do it for Tolkien. I don't want to do it for the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I don't want to do... Yeah, look, you play with lore if you want. I'll just be mad at authors and readers instead, because being mad is probably something I can do, I guess. Anyway, let me know how you guys are doing down in the comments. Let me know what you've read last week. Let me know what you plan to read this week. We will see. Maybe we'll read some things together and get shit done in the future. And I hope you had a good time. Enjoy the autumn. It's a good time to reading, for reading Ted Williams or reading Tolkien if you haven't this year. I did it in January, so I have to read Ted Williams now. Read some autumn books. Get some early Christmas cookies. Drink some mulled wine or, I don't know, hot tea, and enjoy the pleasures of autumn. And I'll see you in the next one. And until then, thanks and cheers.